Hey everyone! So today I want to explain how to debug the plugin cypress-grep and if something is not working. So I have my spec file right here. Notice I have titles and I have a couple tags. So first of all, let's imagine a situation where you're trying to grab something by a part of a title and it's not working. Or maybe we start Cypress with Cypress open and we pass, the grep like this. Let's say I want to make sure it works too. Wrong? So we are grepping for all the tests that contain the string works too. So I'm gonna open the test runner and I see that it's running all the tests. So something is not right. So the first thing you want to do is you want to make sure that you passed the grep string and any flags correctly. And to do that, go back to the initial desktop GUI screen. This is what we call desktop GUI. And instead of looking at the list of tests and specs, just look at the settings. Under the settings, you have a bunch of tabs that expand the configuration. These are all Cypress configuration parameters. Most of them are default, right? Under the configuration, look at the environment object. This is what you pass to Cypress, but is not a configuration value, right? It's not like base URL or browsers or specs or integration folder. So you can see that under the env, you pass to this plugin because it's reading from Cypress env object, grabs with a Z works too. So you actually pass the right thing, but under a wrong key. So what do? Exit Cypress, and you fix the grep Z. It should be grep. Now let's look at the settings, configuration, and you can see now the grep is correct. And let's try the spec. The spec loads and only the tests that you expect to run. Now here's something else. So right now we are keeping all the tests, even the ones we're not running. There is a setting in cypress-grep to filter those out. Now to look up this setting, I'm going to open the README, grep filter tests, I believe. So let's say I will pass this value as well. So right now, this is the correct value. So let's use this. Open the spec file. Okay, so something is not working. So let's go back and open the README. Okay, it still looks correct, right? So here's where we can look at the object, grep filter test. It's correct, right? So why isn't this working? This is where you can open the DevTools, and if the DevTools doesn't come up, restart the browser, open the DevTools. This is where you have to enable debug messages. So cypress-grep, like many plugins that I use, uses a debug module from npm to show additional messages. And to enable it in the browser, you have to say local storage debug and say cypress-grep as a string. All right, now let's reload the tests. Now notice all the extra verbose logging. We can see these are all the options, right, that Cypress understands. Notice we have a grep string, grep burn, and emit filtered is undefined. So the option we probably are trying to set is not called filter test, right? But it's emit filtered. Let's look it up in our README. Are we doing something wrong? Okay. See, we have to say grep emit filter true if inside an individual spec file we want to pass it. Now this brings another thing. So we enable debug messages in the browser, but cypress-grep has filtering at the spec level and even before the browser launches. Okay, so let's look at this. Grep filter test is true. We're gonna add grep emit filtered true. But now we want to see how Cypress plugin, before the browser starts, actually does its own filtering. So here's where we can say debug cypress-grep. So instead of setting local storage debug value in a browser, when you launch Cypress using Cypress open or Cypress run, just set environment variable debug to cypress-grep, the name of a plugin. And now you will see all the messages that the plugin itself, okay, right here. Right? All the messages from the plugin itself but control how it works. Okay, so it actually will show you all additional information. And when you run the spec, you see that we omitted filtered tests, but having the debug messages in the terminal allows you to see so much more about how plugin picks tests to run and how it filters them out. So just to summarize, first, confirm that you're passing all the settings through environment correctly. Then enable debug messages inside the browser using local storage debug like this, and then enable the debug messages in the terminal from the cypress-grep while it's still launching. You can find all this information under the debugging section of the cypress-grep README.